It says that God will make a way of escape. God made a way out for them.
Walk it like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Yeah. Flowers never grow without some water.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Lion's Den. I am your humble host, Pastor D, and I want to welcome you into this space where God is here, God is present, and His Spirit is here as well. And I pray that His Spirit is with you in your home and wherever you may be right now watching this video. I want to, for the next few weeks or so, I want to take us through the journey of Abram, who later becomes Abraham. But I want to take us through his journey because I feel like myself, a lot of you are in a season of your life where you have to literally have so much faith in order for you to make it through this particular season that you find yourself in, right? And so we're going to kind of walk through his story and we're going to see how faith has led his journey and how much he trusted God and believed God with everything. And we're going to really be encouraged by this. And we're going to really, thank God, for, this journey, as we kind of, walk through it. But I want to talk from the subject of faith, wisdom, and God's protection to start this off, right? We're going to start off in Genesis 12. I normally read this in my Bible, the New King James Version, but I'm going to teach it from the Amplified Version. So we're going to be in Genesis 12 to start off this series, right? And it talks about, and it's entitled Abram Journeys to Egypt. And it starts off, Father, bless this word, bless us all to hear, to receive, to have an ear to hear what you are saying to us, the church, that we may hear your spirit, that we may hear your voice as your humble servant. And I step aside and I ask that you completely take over this message, God. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so Abram journeys to Egypt. Genesis 12, verse 1, it says, now in Haran, the Lord has said to Abram, go away from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you. And I know most of you are like, that's such a bold act of God to Abram, right? Because for a lot of us, this is an impossible thing for us to do, right? It's impossible for us to walk away from people, places, and things when God calls us away, because some of us are living our lives to attach to things. The Bible encourages us to wear this world as a loose garment. It's not only material things, it's people as well, right? And so God gives this great command to Abram because, one, he knows that he can trust him. He knows that he can give him this command and that he will follow. As you kind of, see different stories throughout the Bible, you'll see God asks people all the time to walk away from this, walk away from them, walk away from that, and trust me to take you somewhere that's greater for you, right? So you'll see that a lot in the Bible. And so God gives Abram this great command, and he tells him not only to leave his country, not only to leave his relatives, but to leave his father's house and to go to a land which I will show you. Meaning that he hasn't even seen the land. He didn't even give Abram a glimpse of the land. Abram doesn't even know what to expect out of this land, if the land exists or anything. And that's the thing about faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, right? So even if you can't see it, even if you can't trace it, even if you can't physically put your hands on it, faith is you saying, I'm going to walk by faith. I'm going to choose to trust God. I'm going to choose to obey God, even if I don't see the results yet, even if I don't see the outcome yet. Faith is leading me to believe that I serve a God that is able to do what it is that he's telling me that he's going to do for me, right? And so it goes on and it says, and I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you abundantly, and make your name great, exalted, distinguished, and you shall be a blessing, a source of great good to others. And I will bless, do good for, benefit those who bless you. And I will curse, that is subject to my wrath and judgment, the one who curses, despises, dishonors, has contempt for you. And in you, all the families, nations of the earth will be blessed. Abraham has this huge burden, and it's not a burden in such a bad way, but he has this huge burden to carry on his shoulders, because he's not only doing this, he's not only taking this step for himself, right? He's taking this step for nations. He's taking this step for everyone that will come after him, right? And for oftentimes, a lot of times we'll feel like that's too much of a burden to carry. Some of us will feel that, it's too much. I can't do it. We'll feel the pressures of it. But I love so much that Abraham, he didn't feel no pressure from this, because he wasn't so focused on what he had to carry, what he had to do, what he had to leave, what he had to walk away from. But he was more so focused on what it was that God was leading him to do, what it was that God was doing in his life in this particular season, right? And so God is making Abram these promises that you do what I say, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. I'll make sure you're good. I'll do good to those that do good to you, and those that despise you, those that misuse you, abuse you, I'll take care of them. And too often we're trying to take matters into our own hands, right? And that's where we can get ourselves in trouble. We got to understand that if God is for us, who or what can be against us? So even if people are cursing us, even if people are coming against us, even if people are using us, abusing us, mistreating us, we got to understand that God is our protector. We got to understand that God is on our side so much that he'll fight our battles for us, right? And so it goes on and it says that so Abram departed, get this, in faithful obedience. In faithful obedience, he departed. No questions asked. Well, God, can you at least show me? You know how we do. I at least got to see something. I at least got to, I got to know something. I got to have, some money in the bank. I gotta at least be settled, or I got to be comfortable, or I got to know. This is how we are, right? But it says Abram departed in faithful obedience as the Lord had directed him. And Lot, his nephew, left with him. Oftentimes, and I've seen it personally in my life. Oftentimes in life, some people know where the blessing is. They know who the blessing is attached to. And so they say, I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to go where you going. Remember Ruth? When Ruth told Naomi, wherever you go, I'll go. Wherever you lodge, I'll lodge. Where your people going to be my people, your God going to be my people. Where you die, that's where I'm going to die. Because she knew what? She knew that Naomi would lead her to her blessing. Not Naomi, but what God was doing through Naomi will eventually lead her to her blessing and to her betterment in life. So she decided, you know what? I'm not going to walk away from you like how Orpah did, but I'm going to choose to follow you, because I know it'll be more of a blessing for me to stay attached to your life than it would for me to depart from your life. And so Lot finds himself in this situation. Abram, if you leaving, you know what? I'm going with you. I ain't standing behind. I want to see what God is getting ready to do as well. And so it says that his nephew Lot left with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. Don't you know that age means nothing to God? Age literally means nothing to God. God can use you at whatever age he desires. He can use you at 10. He could use you at 12. He could use you at 30. He could use you at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. He can use you at whatever age he so desires. But this also lets us know that there comes a time, a season, where your time in a particular space or place is up, where your time somewhere has come to an expiration, and God is ready to move you elsewhere and to do something new, something different, and something better in your life. And so it says after 75 years, God now decides to tell Abram, hey, leave this place and go somewhere where I'm going to take good care of you, where I'm going to make you the father of many nations. I'm going to make you the father of faith. I'm going to make your name so great at the age of 75. So if you're looking at your life and you saying, well, man, I'm 34, I'm 30 this, and I'm 40 this, and I'm 50, and it seemed like I'm behind, or this ain't happened, or I ain't get to do this, trust God. Trust God and get away from your age. Get away from the distraction of age. We get so worried about so many things that we lose sight and we lose focus of what it is that God is doing in our lives, right? And so it says Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his nephew, and all their possessions, which they had acquired, and the people's servants, which they had acquired in Haran, and they set out to go to the land of Canaan. When they came to the land of Canaan. So I want to stop there. I find it interesting. It says Abram only took his wife, he took Lot, and he took his servants. That was it. This lets us literally know that not everyone can go where God is taking you. Not everyone can be along for the journey. Not everyone is going to follow you. Not everyone is going to want to go where God is taking you. Not everyone is going to be in agreement with what God is doing in your life. And so you can only go and take whoever God allows to go and to be in those spaces and in those places that he's taking you. And so it says that when they came to the land of Canaan, it says Abram passed through the land as far as the site of Shechem to the great terebinth oak tree of Moreh. Now the Canaanites were in the land at that time. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your descendants. He didn't say I'm going to give it to you. He said, I'm going to give it to your descendants. Those that come after you, I'm going to give it to your descendants, right? So Abram built an altar there to honor the Lord who had appeared to him. And what I love about this is that it teaches us to honor God where God honors us. God saw fit to honor Abraham. And so Abraham turns around and he builds an altar in this particular place. And he begins to honor God for what he just honored him for. Because God said, I'm going to give this place to your descendants. Abraham said, well, if this is going to be possessed by my descendants, then I'm going to pray over this place. I'm going to set the tone in this place. I'm going to make sure the spirit dwells, my God, in this place. And so he began to honor God. He began to worship by day kosha. He began to pray, mama site yorobo shanda. And oftentimes we just look for God to bless us and we don't honor him the way that we should. We're not as appreciative as we should be. We're not as grateful and thankful as we should be. It's like we take the things that God gives us and blesses us with as if we just deserved it and as if, well, he should have did that. Abraham is not only teaching us faith, but he's teaching us humility as well, because he knows I'm not deserving of this. My people, we may not be deserving of this, but God, if you see fit for us to own and possess the land, I'm going to honor you for that. I'm going to honor you because you got what's best for us. You want what's best for us, and you're doing what's best for us. And so it goes on and it says, then he moved on from there to the mountain on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, but with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord and worshiped through prayer, praise, and thanksgiving. Don't you know that praise and prayer is what's going to get you and carry you through your journey? Abraham understood this so well, because at each point of him being able to make a stop or to journey, he started to pray. He started to praise. He started to honor God. He started to connect with God because he understood, I'm not where God wants me to be yet. And I know that I'm still journeying. And in order for me to get from Haran to where God is taking me, my promised land, I'm going to need to continue to pray. I don't need to just pray when I leave Haran, but I need to pray at every stop. I need to pray along every point of this journey. Don't stop praying just because things start to look up and things start to look good. Don't stop praying. Keep praying. Keep worshiping God. Keep honoring God. Keep showing up, right? And so it goes on and it says, then Abram journeyed on, continuing toward the Negev in the south country of Judah. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to live temporarily. You got to understand that just because you may be in a particular place, that does not mean that that's your end all be all, that's where God is calling you to be forever, right? You got to be so open to God moving you and the Spirit of God leading you. If God telling you, if you move, let's say in my life growing up, you know, me, my mother, and my sister, we moved around quite a bit. Was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, left Detroit, went to New York, from New York, went to Jersey, went to Pennsylvania, went to Virginia, came here to Georgia, left Georgia a little bit, went to Cali, and then came back from Cali and came back here to Georgia, right? But imagine if we only thought that Detroit was the end all be all for us. Oh, I was born here. This is home. You get what I'm saying? And this is where I belong. No, but because I grew up with a mother who had an ear, who has an ear, and who was very spirit led, she was able to move as God was leading. And so Abraham understood, I'm only in Egypt. I'm not here for good. I'm not here for a long time. I'm only here for a short time. This is a temporary stop along a journey that God is leading me to a greater space, a greater land, right? So you can't get too attached. And that goes back to how I was talking about earlier, how the Bible tells us to wear this world as a loose garment. Don't get too attached that when God says get up, move, and go, that you say, well, I done made my home here. I done made my bed here. I done just did this and I got this and I just feel comfortable here. No, be so open that you can move at any time that God says go, that God says time is up, that God says it's time to move on, that God says it's time to move forward. And so Abraham understood that this is only a temporary stay, for the famine in the land was oppressive and severe. And when he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai, his wife, listen, I know that you are a beautiful woman. So when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife, and they will kill me to acquire you, but they will let you live. Please tell them that you are my sister, so that things will go well for me for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. God will give you wisdom to outsmart the enemy, right? Anytime God is blessing, you have to understand that the devil is always messing, right? So in this moment right here, Abram is concerned because he understands, one, I'm in an unfamiliar place. I'm in territory that does not belong to me. I understand the mind of the enemy and how the enemy works, right? That God is blessing me and sending me to a place of prosperity and abundance, right? Of goodness, that the enemy wants to do anything that he can to stop me from getting to where God is taking me. So you know what? Here is where God gives the wisdom, and where wisdom set in. You're going to say that you're my sister. This is what's going to get us through this place, right? Imagine if this wisdom doesn't come, then the story turns a whole different direction. But because God gave Abram this wisdom, and this is why it's important to pray, because you don't understand what's going to come up. You don't understand what tests, what trials, you don't understand what hardship is going to come up along your journey. But if you stay in prayer, then you can be led by God's Spirit to know what to say, what not to say, where to go, where not to go, who to connect to, who not to connect to, where to stay for a long time and where not to stay for a long time. You'll understand all of these things. And this is what Abram is showing us, because he's showing that he has the knowledge and understanding through the Spirit of God that this is temporary, that this is not forever. But now I need to use wisdom, because this is how these people may be and this is what may happen. So we have to prepare for anything and always expect the unexpected, right? And so he says, please tell them that you are my sister, so things will go well for you, And for me, for me, and my life will be spared because of you. And when Abram entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was very beautiful. That's how you know that this is of God. Because the very thing that God put in his spirit is the exact thing, the moment they stepped foot in Egypt, what the Egyptians automatically thought. They began to look at Sarai. They began to want Sarai. They began to lust after Sarai. They began to be attracted, Thabo Shanda, to Sarai. And so it says, Pharaoh's princes, officials also saw her and praised her to Pharaoh. Oh my God, you got to come see this woman. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She's all of that. And the woman was taken for the purpose of marriage. Look at this. Into Pharaoh's house, harem. Therefore, Pharaoh treated Abram well for her sake. He acquired sheep, oxen, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. Look at him. Pharaoh being nice to him because he's trying to win over Sarai. He has interest in Sarai. So this is the only reason why Pharaoh is treating Abram good. It's for her sake, because he's looking to gain something, right? And this is how the enemy can be. He can be cunning. He can be conniving. He can offer you things. He can give you things. He can make it seem so enticing because he got something up his sleeve. He got a trick up his sleeve. He's waiting to catch you slipping. And so it says, but the Lord punished, my God, Pharaoh and his household with severe plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Then Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this that you have done to me? Whoa, hold on, Pharaoh. Abram ain't do nothing to you. It's what have I done to myself? And oftentimes we don't want to take responsibilities for the positions that we put ourselves in. And so Pharaoh is looking at Abram like, what did you do to me? What is this that you have brought upon me and my family, upon me and my people? Because before you got here, this wasn't going on. But instead of looking at Abram as the problem, Pharaoh, here's a mirror. You got to look at yourself. You got to look at your actions. You got to look at what you're doing. And so he says, what is this that you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister so that I took her as my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. So Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they escorted him on his way with his wife and all that he had. Look at how God created a way of escape. Through every way of temptation, even if it ain't your own temptation, it says that God will make a way of escape. God made a way out for them. Through Pharaoh's temptation, being tempted by Sarai, not that she personally tempted him, but his temptation, the Bible says each man is drawn away by his own lust, meaning that we are tempted by what we allow ourselves to be tempted by. And so God makes this great way of escape to where Pharaoh didn't even lay hands upon Abram, to where he couldn't even do what he probably wanted to really do. But instead he said, look, you got to go. That God allowed the plague to be so severe that that Pharaoh couldn't even come up with a plan to do anything else but to free him and let him go. And with that, we understand that the thing about God is that God will always protect his anointed or his chosen and never give them to that which is unholy or undeserving. You got to understand that you're too precious for God, for him to just give you to any and everybody. You're too precious. You mean too much for God or to God for God to just allow any or everyone to handle you or to be in your life or to be in your presence. Stop being mad at who couldn't be. Stop being mad of where you couldn't go. Stop being mad of who you couldn't marry, who you couldn't be with. God saw fit to have something much better for you. And so I thank God for this word. I thank God for the start of this. We see three things that happens in here, and it leads me back to my title. We see faith. Abraham acted in faith. He walked in faith. He was led by faith. It said faithful obedience. He moved by faith. We see the wisdom come in where the wisdom of God began to lead him through certain parts of his journey to where he didn't fall into the traps or Satan couldn't have his way with him because God kept him 10 steps ahead of the enemy. And then we ultimately see God's protection. That which Satan meant for our bad, God turned it around for their good. Where Satan thought to do harm or where Satan thought to take which belonged to Abram, God saw fit to protect. And it's the same thing that God is doing for you. God is protecting you. All you got to do is have the faith, have the knowledge, have the wisdom to understand that God is for you. I pray, that in all of this being said, that something was really said to inspire you, to encourage you. As Abram did, to walk by faith and not by sight. He didn't see the promised land yet, but he trusted God so much that he took God at his word. And he said, you know what? I'm going to follow you. I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to do what you say. I'm going to go where you tell me to go. And in him doing that, God said, you know what? I'm going to not only bless you, but I'm going to bless everyone that comes from you. I'm going to bless everyone that's attached to your life because you saw it and counted it as a righteous thing to trust God. When you trust God, when you believe God, when you're open to God, then you'll see your life change for the better. You'll no longer find yourself in places of stress and worry and doubt and depression and heaviness and feeling weighed down, feeling burdened, feeling not enough or whatever the enemy tries to attack your life with, or even what you're telling yourself. You'll stop feeling those things and you'll begin to feel the joy of the Lord, the peace of God. Why? Because you're walking in alignment with God. You're walking in agreement with God. You're walking understanding that God is leading you to greater, to bigger, to better, and to more. Again, faith, wisdom, and God's protection. I appreciate y'all, tapping in to watch this video, hearing this word. All glory goes to God. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to share this with anybody that you know. And like I said, we're just getting started, but we're going to go through this journey of Abram, who later becomes Abraham, and Sarai, who later becomes Sarah. We're going to go through their journey and we're going to learn what faith can do for your life. But God bless y'all. God keep y'all and cover y'all. Be encouraged, get inspired, and stay uplifted. As always, God bless.
Wisdom is for free, but yet it's overpriced. And I never seen success happen overnight.